Welcome back to 70 times 7, the platform where the dynamics of forgiveness is explored. I have learned firstly that I have an artery. I've also learned that an unforgiving spirit affects that artery. And June, before we went on the break, you were explaining a little more about the effects.
I would like to illustrate something, Paul and Busi, so that you can see the effects, the holistic effect of the unforgiving spirit to the human body. You see, if the water is the stress and the resentment and
It's okay, we forgive you.
and the bitterness you have. Imagine you're carrying it with you to work. Your concentration is affected at work, your interpersonal relationship, your cardiovascular, your immune system, your spirituality, your emotions, everything is affected.
So all the energies that's supposed to be directed to something else is actually directed to this unforgiving spirit or resentment that I'm carrying with me.
And if your wife is like this,
don't pick on my wife now.
carry just one drop, it overflows.
So
it means this is what we call it's a syndrome that when one drop, last straw syndrome.
Anything that triggers.
Just one drop and it overflows. And
your wife will... Let me release some of your stress.
And will tell you that, you see, the mistakes you had from 20 years ago, because it was triggered, because it was already full, carrying it with her.
So you just wait for, it can be anything that can make it tip over.
Yeah.
So when we see people going off on a tantrum and blowing their top off, it's not actually one incident.
No, it's an accumulation of things.
It was like building up, and it was ready to explode. Just the way you squeeze the toothpaste could trigger it. It's supposed to be squeezed in the middle or from the bottom. Just a little thing could trigger the whole thing.
June, it's scary what you're saying. Actually, it actually presupposes that this is a series of events. It takes time for one to reach that level. How long, more or less, or when does that happen? When somebody just explodes? Can we determine when this thing started, or is it easy for us to tell so that we can help people who are actually in this line of destruction?
Because this thing sometimes could not be solved by communication, could not be solved with improving the interpersonal relationship, but it is only through forgiveness that you offload the water inside. That's how powerful forgiveness is.
So when you forgive, you become lighter.
Exactly. You offload it to Jesus. It's not for the forgiven, but for yourself.
The forgiver.
For the sake of yourself, for the sake of your health, for the sake of your spirituality, for the sake of your emotional health, psychological health.
June, I heard that. Sometimes I listen to the wrong people, but this time I have an opportunity to confirm. I heard that, when you have an unforgiving spirit, your blood pressure goes up.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah. Now, I've had my pressure going up, and I've had my fair share of making other people's pressure also go up. Right? But, sometimes when I'm discussing something, and the person I'm talking to is just missing the point completely and misinterpreting me, and especially if they're criticizing me and unfairly criticizing me, I notice that I have some patches on my forehead. My forehead gets darker. I don't know if well, for him it doesn't matter. He's a black man.
I'm already black.
For him it won't be a big train smash. But I can actually feel, my forehead getting tense here. Right? And it's amazing. I also have some splitting headaches. Even if I take 2 Miprodol, right? It takes a long time for me to recover.
In fact, Paul, migraine, some of these headaches emanates from, this something you have kept in your heart, like the bitterness, the resentment, all these feelings that are just in turmoil
Now,
inside you, you know?
The other time,
Yeah.
I'm not a medical doctor, but the other time I read that when you exercise, your body releases good
Endorphin.
endorphins, which
Endorphin,
are
yeah. Happy
hormones,
hormone, yeah.
happy hormones that make you feel good. So
I like that hormone. Huh?
yeah.
Happy
So the
hormone.
opposite happens. When you
Exactly.
harbor a spirit of resentment
true.
and forgiveness, then the opposite of that happens.
You see, you must take note that there is a happy stress and there is a bad stress. The bad stress is those, you know, if you are in that emotional turmoil of not forgiving, getting even, and resentment, bitterness, that is a very bad stress.
but-
For like what we're doing now, this is a happy stress. I mean, we are in stress, but we are happy
Yeah.
to do it.
Speak for yourself, but I accept it. It's a happy stress.
But guys, I think sometimes we have to be realistic. What happens then when you know life dishes out bad things at us? You know, it gives us a raw deal, as it were. And sometimes you react in a particular way, and you don't know how to control yourself. Now, is that wrong, or are you talking about a conscious effort not to forgive somebody, hence it results in you becoming sick over a period of time?
In fact, forgiveness is a choice. You must choose to be healthy. You must choose to forgive. It is a conscious decision that you have to say to yourself, listen, it's not for others' sake, but for me, and for the sake of your health. If you undergo some of those stresses that I've mentioned, for the sake of your health,
So this is one time we can be selfish.
You-
We think about ourselves.
yeah,
So when we
you have to
forgive,
forgive.
so when I forgive you, sometimes you must not think Paul is such a great forgiving guy, because I may be forgiving you for my own health's sake.
Exactly.
You know,
Well,
I-
it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
As long as it benefits you, as long as you are doing the right thing, it will then benefit you.
Yeah, you know, I read, Busi, you know, let me show you what I read. I read that if only people were taught how to forgive, 75% of those who are in psychiatric institutions, 75% of them will be discharged tomorrow.
That
Wow.
is really true. That's true. That's true.
That's interesting. Wow.
That's true.
75% of the problems in psychiatric institutions is as a result of an unforgiving spirit. Now that's something that should keep us thinking. In fact, I want to do all that I can to stay away from any psychiatric institution.
Oh, me too.
But stay with us. We'll be right back.